Hello, good day everyone, and I hope you are doing well. My name is Kwame Gonza and the platform is called Connect Africa, Africa Reimagined, and we want to thank you for being part of us and being part of this platform. Now today we're going to talk about a very important subject called artificial intelligence. We have had all these hypes around people talking about the capabilities of artificial intelligence. And of course, you cannot talk about artificial intelligence without talking about ChatGPT. Its capabilities, what can it do? And people have been putting in queries, and in many cases, of course, they have gotten answers. In some cases, they have not been able to get answers. And I look at it as just a hype currently. That is from an African perspective. Now, I've used the ChatGPT myself and other platforms which are using artificial intelligence. But this is what I've found out. ChatGPT is merely a communication system. Okay, it is a system for aggregating data, huge amounts of data. And this is what is giving companies like Nvidia and others which are into graphics, they are giving them this much value because they are able to provide the infrastructure where you can aggregate these huge amounts of data and be able, and the artificial intelligence is able to find patterns, due to the query that is being put in there, which is the questions people are always asking these systems to give. Now, there has been what I've called the hype because people now are apportioning ChatGPT or artificial intelligence to even things which it cannot do. All right? It cannot generate new data. It can only work with the existing data, but it cannot generate new knowledge. And this is the difference now. And the other thing which I've seen is that as a system, artificial intelligence as a system is actually there. And of course, that is why it is called artificial, because it cannot generate new knowledge. All right? New knowledge is generated by humans who are doing research and all these things. Okay? What it can do, or what artificial intelligence can do, is just helping the human to aggregate all these knowledge that he has accumulated. And so you feed it with a lot of data, and then it is able to aggregate. Because even though the human has a capability of generating knowledge, but you don't have knowledge of connecting all this knowledge at the same time, and also having all this knowledge in your head at the same time is not very possible for the human. So if you have stored it somewhere and you want to send a query for you to have that knowledge, maybe what we can say is that these artificial intelligence systems, they help the human to extend himself. Okay, this is what they are going to do. They are going to help the human to make faster decisions. This is what artificial intelligence, I see from my point of view, that is going to achieve. Now, on the other hand, artificial intelligence reinforces the narrative that has been existent. And I'll give you an example, which is, I asked artificial intelligence about Nkrumah, all right? And what artificial intelligence actually wrote about who Dr. Kwame Nkrumah was, it wrote it from the Western perspective. Okay, talking about how Nkrumah was a dictator, how Nkrumah was this and that, he was a Pan-Africanist, but he was a dictator, all right? So I asked, why do you say Nkrumah was a dictator? And ChatGPT or whatever it is, could not answer back. And in some cases, it has to come back and say, sorry, this one I did not understand it. And in some cases, I say, when you are talking about people, for example, John F. Kennedy, why are you not biased like that? And you are not putting connotations of a dictator or something due to the things which he did in the past. And it came back to show me that it was biased, that it did not intend to paint the figure like that. So what I'm trying to say is that ChatGPT is there also, is gonna reinforce a narrative, and actually is gonna give even greater control to the Western world over information that we are using as Africans, especially because we don't have these systems, we don't have these data systems. All the data that is being generated from the African continent, unfortunately, is being taken to the West. The Western corporations, Google, Oracle, Microsoft, Amazon, Jumia, all these are Western corporations that are harvesting Africa's data. And they're not, because there's no data laws right now. There's no almost technology laws on the African continent due to the weaknesses and due to the incompetence of the African heads of state. And they don't understand these things. All the data is being harvested out and taken to the West. So now what you are facing here, or what we are going to face as Africans, which is problematic because we need to create our own technology companies. What we are going to face now is that these biases against Africa are going to be reinforced, the Western bias. So these biases are going to be transferred into technology, and they're going to even have greater control. So then you can write a program, a human can write a program and say this and this amount of data. If somebody is in this particular IP address, to mean Africa, if he's in Africa, if you put a query into a computer or computer system, and the system reads your IP address that you are in Africa, then certain amounts of data will not be given to you, will not be accessible to you. And that is what actually this means when it comes to artificial intelligence. So they are going to have a greater control over, Africa's knowledge, Africa's technology, and Africa's narrative. This is basically what this means, because they have generated all this data and all this knowledge, and they have it within their own systems. All right. And of course, there's various ways we can fight back as Africans also. And that means building our own technology companies. But we cannot start building our own technology companies if we as Africans are not together, if we are not working together, and if we don't understand that the moment we are living in is a moment of life and death, is a matter of life and death, right? And we stop justifying these small states that are incompetent, that are in many cases unviable, and they cannot compete with the rest of the world. So this is the danger now that we face as Africans. Until we come together, we have to come together and build this continent together. We need a unified information system, communication system all across the African continent. We have proposed, my company has proposed, the building of a continental railway platform, which would cost about $150 billion, and also would lay a communication system, a communication fiber optic cable at a cost of around $2 billion all across the African continent. All right? And this will give Africa the ability to have access to its own information and build its own data system, build its own companies, build its own technology companies. We will build our own technology companies without relying on somebody else outside. All right? Now, the other reason why this is just a hyped, a technology is when you look at the .com era, they claim that this was an industrial revolution in itself. All right? If you remember, those ones who understand this platform, we have been speaking about the third industrial revolution versus the fourth industrial revolution. Now, this narrative of fourth industrial revolution was started by the World Economic Forum, but there's no such thing as fourth industrial revolution. It's a false one. And if you notice, from the fourth industrial revolution, then we have been talking about artificial intelligence. The fourth industrial revolution narrative has been dropped. Now all of a sudden we have this intensified narrative about artificial intelligence. We are no more hearing about fourth industrial revolution. But there was no such thing as fourth industrial revolution. The .com era, starting from the .com era, all these which we have been seeing, what we have been seeing, advances, in communication, internet, it was just an advance in communication technology, 6G, 3G, 4G, 2G, 3G, 4G, 5G, and right now they're already talking about 6G. Of course, Huawei is the one who had already started, researching this. Now, all these meant that there has been advances in the communication technology. For you to achieve an industrial revolution, you need three key technologies. All right? You need three technologies to come together, on which, from my research, I'll add the fourth, which is agriculture. Now, according to researchers like Jeremy Rifkin, they have mentioned that for you to achieve an industrial revolution like what happened in Britain and what happened in the United States during the second industrial revolution, in Britain, it was the first industrial revolution, you need three key technologies to come together, and that is the transportation. There's a revolution in the transportation system. All right? There's a revolution in the communication system. Huge revolution. There's a revolution in the energy system. What type of energy are you using? For Britain, we saw there was a steam, there was, the telegram, and there was the train. In the United States, there was the automobile, all right, which came to land to replace the horses and buggies. There was, petroleum, the discovery of hydrocarbons and refining, and there was the telephone, all right? So these three technologies have to come together, and you have to see it. And then there's an explosion in growth. There's an explosion in jobs. All right. That is why we are seeing this situation is currently happening in China. In China right now, you can talk of, they were the first people to discover the 60G. They are the ones who have employed advanced technologies in manufacturing. Okay. 60G, they are doing research even in 60G. So this technology of communication is actually being led by China. When it comes to transportation, electrified transportation systems, like vehicles, China is the one who's leading. Electrified trains, China is the one who's leading. So that's the second technology. When it comes to energy as a form of power, in form of power, we know that renewable energy, China is the one who's leading. So that is where the third industrial revolution is happening actually. Now, I'll add the fourth. It has to be with food. You have to continuously, also control your food. You have to produce your own food. So what we are seeing with the so-called artificial intelligence is just a communication technology that is being overhyped by the West to show some semblance of, or resemblance of leading the world in one way or the other. And so you have those figures like the founder of World Economic Forum claiming that they were in the fourth industrial revolution. But this is fake news. Maybe you can say this fake narrative. All right? It is not existent. It doesn't exist. The fourth industrial revolution doesn't exist yet. We are just entering into the third industrial revolution. So AI, to put it vividly, is just a communication system that can be controlled with programs, all right, to aggregate these huge amounts of data that have been generated by humans and are continuously being generated by humans, so that humans can be able to make faster decisions. And this data can even be fed, of course, into machines. Because if you have a machine that is connected to this data, then the machine which is moving, for example, a vehicle on the road, can be able to make decisions quickly. It makes decisions faster, all right? And of course, all this is to serve the human, whether it is manufacturing machines, if you are feeding them with, relevant data, which is related to that manufacturing process, then that means that that data is going to continue to help in improving productivity. Of course, it's going to help in that process, but on the whole, this system is just a communication system and is not anything else that is special, that we should be excited about and say the world is going to be, is going to take over the world and stuff like that. So it's just a huge hype. And of course, like I said, if we Africans, we don't get our act together, this system is going to be used, to censor us. It's going to be used in a biased way, as we have seen. There's even an Ethiopian researcher who came up with a research on this system, who's a PhD researcher in Ireland, and she noticed that the AI is actually reinforcing also the old narrative, the existent old narratives of looking at, for example, Africa as a wretched place, as a place where nothing good comes from, as a dusty place and stuff like that, where there's no progress and stuff like that when you put in your queries. So this is what I wanted to put some light on when it comes to artificial intelligence, of course, from a Pan-African and an African perspective. Thank you so much for paying attention. Please subscribe to the channel and share it with other people, and support the channel through your PayPal account. We have a PayPal account in our description here, and also support us through super chat, and share the platform with others. We want to thank you once again. My name is Kwame Gonza, and the platform is called Connect Africa and Africa Reimagined. Thank you so much. God bless you, and peace.